I built my brand from zero to $500,000 per month using Amazon FBA. And in today's video, I want to go over pretty much the life cycle of my brand, the lessons I learned from that, about 13 different lessons that were huge lessons at the time, and how I built that brand from zero to $500,000. And the crazy thing about it is I probably could have done it in maybe a third of the time if I knew the lessons that I'm going to teach you today. So I'm going to be going over 13 things today, but I first wanted to start by just going over a background. For those that don't know me, I'm Dr. Travis Ziegler. I built and sold a dry eye company back in 2021, and we got it up to about $500,000 per month in revenue at the time. And we made the 5,000 fastest growing companies. You can see that right there. And we had a couple other rewards. You can see all those around my head and everything, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the mistakes I made and the lessons I learned from them. And I want you to learn these lessons from me so you don't have to make them and cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars like it did for me. So I started selling on Amazon back in 2015. We started a brand called I Love. To give you a little background into how we got into the Amazon space, I am an optometrist by trade. I am an eye doctor, and I was practicing for my uncle here in Columbus, Ohio. And what I did is I didn't want to work for somebody else. I had to be my own boss. I didn't know what an entrepreneur was at the time, but I knew I didn't want to work for anybody else. Even though it was my uncle was great. He was great to me. Him and his family were great. Great first 4 years of my optometry career. And then I also worked for him before that. So I worked for him for about 11 years total. And I am forever grateful for what the opportunity he provided me, but I just couldn't work for somebody. So I did the 3 things you're not supposed to do. I quit my job. I moved across the country from Ohio to South Carolina, and then I started 2 practices. But I went from seeing 4 to 6 patients an hour at my uncle's to seeing 1 patient an hour at my new practices because they were brand new. And so I was bored. And an email came across my inbox. I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I was on his email list. And he was promoting a course called Amazing Selling Machine. I didn't think I would buy it because it was about $5,000 to buy it, but my wife was like, yeah, let's do it. And my wife doesn't normally go for things like that. She does now, but she didn't back then. And so we bought this course and started selling sunglasses online because that's what we knew. We were eye doctors. And the course taught you how to pick a product opportunity, find it on Amazon, source it from China, and then start selling it. So we started doing that with sunglasses, and we found that it worked really well. We sold 100 in the first 7 days of having those sunglasses live. So we invested about $40,000 into this, 20,000 of our own capital, 20,000 from a partner. They took 5%. And they got paid off really well. Actually, no, they took 10%, I think. And we ended up building that portion of the brand to $3.2 million in the next 2 years. This is the sunglass portion, selling pieces of plastic from China. But all we were doing was taking advantage of an opportunity. There was a gap in the marketplace. There was an opportunity in the marketplace for selling sunglasses on Amazon. All of them were either really cheap or really expensive. So we filled that middle gap of not being too cheap. We were always polarized. We were always polycarbonate. They were a little higher quality than the cheap ones. And they were actually about as high quality as Ray-Bans. And we didn't charge that much. We charged $30 to $50 for them. So exploiting that opportunity, it allowed us to build a $3.2 million brand. Now, here's the problem. Product opportunities existed back in 2013 to 2019, but they're still being sold today. I still see courses out there on the market that are teaching how to find the perfect product, and they're mostly sold from software companies that are trying to get you to buy their software. But product opportunities are pretty much dead on Amazon. And if you go after a product opportunity, your business is going to fail once the competition moves in. I've seen countless friends and colleagues in this space lose their entire multi-million-dollar business because they were just going after a product opportunity. So I saw this happening back in 2016. So a year into my journey, we weren't doing 3.2 million at the time. We were doing about, I'd say, 2 million. And I was like, man, this just doesn't seem right. This course keeps getting released, Amazing Selling Machine. I'm forever indebted to that course because it taught me how to sell online, taught me how to source, taught me how to do so much. However, it just kept selling. And I was like, man, a lot of people are learning the same thing. They're learning how to exploit a product opportunity, go into that space, and then it gets flooded with competitors, and then their business just falls. And so I was like, we need to build something real. So I want you to first think about, and kind of lesson number 1 here, if you will, is, are you going after a product opportunity? Are you an opportunist? Or are you a real entrepreneur? Real entrepreneurs, they solve problems. They don't go after product opportunities. They solve real problems. And when you solve a real problem, you don't have to worry about the next latest hack or strategy. I still see conferences out there, webinars out there about the next greatest hack or strategy or this or that. And I'm just like, what's the point of that? Like, build a real brand. And when you build a real brand, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. You could do it if you want, but they're short-lived. Every hack and strategy is short-lived. Every hack is short-lived. And it's usually going to last 6 to 12 months, and then it's going to be gone. So build a real brand. Be a true entrepreneur. So what did we do? So in 2016, I was at a conference, and there was a doctor up on stage. His name's Dr. Cabral. Still follow him to this day. He's a great naturopath doctor. And he was getting drilled by this panel. And I remember just one thing about this whole like drilling of the panel and everything and what they said. And Dr. Cabral had his own clinic, and he was selling other people's supplements, but he was also selling other people's supplements online too to make some additional money. And somebody looked at him and just said, why are you selling other people's supplements? Why don't you just make your own? And a light bulb went off in my head, because I still didn't know what I was going to do as far as pivoting. I knew I wanted to pivot into solving a real problem. I didn't know what it was yet though. So we were selling pieces of plastic from China, sunglasses, and actually these are a pair, but these were blue blockers. And I wanted to shift into solving a real problem. And it was right in front of me this whole time. In my practice, I had this shelf behind our desk, and it was eyelid wipes, warm compresses, hypochlorous acid, all these different products that we sold all the time because we were treating so much dry eye in our practice. And I got back to my office and I looked at that shelf and I said, I'm going to come out with every single product on that shelf as my own brand within the next couple of years. And so that's what we started doing. We didn't come out with a product yet though. What we did is we started building a group around dry eye sufferers. We started not a group, but an audience. And so we wanted to start collecting people that had dry eye and helping solve their problem. So what did we do? We started a Facebook group. This is about August 2016. I started in May of 2015. So about a year and a half later. So in August 2016, we started this Facebook group called the Dry Eye Syndrome Support Community. I think it's got a new name now. It's like the Dry Eye Disease Support Group or something. And that group has 29,000 members today and growing. And we started that group. We couldn't do ads for it. We didn't know how to get people in it. All we did is we just started going live almost every day, like 3 times a week in this community, and answered questions, except no one's there. So we literally made up questions like, what is dry eye? How do you treat dry eye? And we just answered Google's frequently asked questions about dry eye. And we just answered them to no one until people started showing up. And now that group has 29,000 members. If we went live in it today, I'm sure it would be crazy. So show up for your audience, serve your audience, even if they're not there, because they will come eventually. So the nice thing about today is like you can advertise for Facebook groups now. And when you get them in your Facebook group, you can ask them for an email address and you can get their email address in. And like, that's a whole nother strategy. I have a course on that. If you ever want access to that course, put down below that you're interested in it, because it's part of my paid mastermind, and that's $1,000 a month. Pay the $1,000 a month, come in, take the course, leave if you want. It's only $1,000 and it will change your life. Guarantee that. So we had this Facebook group, and I kind of developed this strategy that we now call the Perpetual Sales Machine. And the Perpetual Sales Machine strategy is where you take a Google ad around the problem that your product solves, in this case, dry eye. You make a blog about dry eye, and then you talk about your product in it. But you can't talk about your product in the form that it treats that disease. So what we did is we just talked about dry eye related things and put our product as an advertisement on it. And that was it. So you probably have been to websites before where they have advertising, and that's all we did. But we're like, why don't we just make our product the advertisement? And then we can drive focused traffic to this problem-based blog, in this case, dry eye. So what is dry eye? How do you treat dry eye? And then you just have your ads on there. So think of like Google AdSense ads that are all over everything, native ads. When you go to like ESPN or Yahoo or CNN or Fox News or wherever you like to look at, there's ads just everywhere. But instead of having those ads, we just put our products as ads. And then we'd have a pop-up on those pages to get their email address. And then we'd start to serve them and get them in the group. That's called my Perpetual Sales Machine strategy. We teach that inside the mastermind as well. If you guys are interested in the mastermind, like I said, it's $1,000 a month. Go apply to be in it at profitablepineapple.com. But that's not the point. Then what we did is we just kind of kept building this audience. And then one day we were selling this product called Avanova. It's a hypochlorous acid spray. Hypochlorous acid is by far one of the best things you can have, period. It's great for your eyes. It's great for your skin. It's great for any skin condition you have. It's great for, and I don't sell it anymore, so I can like go crazy with it, but we use it for dry eye because you just spray it on your eyelids. You can use it for acne. You can use it for eczema, psoriasis. There's so much you can use it for. If you get a cut on your skin, it helps decrease the bacterial load. You can use it for mouthwash. I mean, there's so much you can use it for. And we were selling it, and Avenova was a great product, $30 a month. And that's how long it lasted, about a month. And one day, a client of mine, a customer, a patient of mine actually, came in and was just like, they just raised the price of this from $30 a month to $300 a month. It was a prescription drop or a prescription spray. And she like shoved it in my chest and was like, "You're the entrepreneur, fix this." And I was like, okay, I think I know my first dry eye product. And so I literally got on Google, looked up hypochlorous acid manufacturers. And the thing with hypochlorous acid is when you create it, it creates bleach as a byproduct. And we don't want that. So I wanted to find a manufacturer that could not create it without creating bleach as a byproduct. Found one. Literally was on the phone with them that day that I got the thing, like, figure this out. And we were in contract and in production within 3 days. And we got that first product. That was about, I think we sold our first one in April of 2017. So this is about a month after that customer brought it to me. And that was our first dry eye product that we came to the market with. And I woke up every single day thinking, how can I sell more of this hypochlorous acid? So we sold it for $15 per month. And our bottle was bigger and it lasted longer. So it lasted a little longer than a month. And theirs was 300. So we attacked them. We didn't attack them in a bad way though. We just went after all their keywords. So Avenova, we just went after their keywords and had people come to a blog about Avenova, but then our product was there. And we didn't say it was better. We said Avenova is great, but if you're looking for a less expensive alternative that you can buy over the counter, here it is. That resulted in us building this Facebook group, building this perpetual sales machine, going after our competitor in a good way, not in a bad way. We got up to $1 million in sales in the first 6 to 9 months for that product. And so we were already doing over $83,000 a month for this one single product. And I literally woke up every day thinking, how can I sell more of this product? And when you come out with a product, you don't know how to sell until you can get that one product up to $1 million a year. I see it all the time. Entrepreneurs will come out with a lot of products and they don't know how to sell. So therefore, they're just stuck with all this inventory. They have no money to market with. And then they're stuck and they close down their business. The business we bought exactly a year ago today, they had too much inventory. So they couldn't market and they had no cash. So what did we do when we bought it? We eliminated all products except for 2. Their 2 best sellers. That was it. And that's what we're doing today is we're marketing those 2 best sellers. We may come out with the 3rd one soon. We're not quite at the $1 million mark yet. We're about halfway there. And it's the 2 products that are there. I don't think we'll get to $1 million. That's why we're thinking of the 3rd product. And then we're going to try to sell that, get that one up to $1 million. So what did we do after we got that product up to $1 million? We just expanded. So learned how to sell, got it up to $1 million. We came out with complementary products. So what are complementary products? Omega-3s, face washes, tea tree soap, eye cream. Pretty much we wanted to own everything in this area for our dry eye sufferers. Doing that, we grew our revenue to about $4 million in annual sales. Our original sunglass and wholesale business actually started declining as our dry eye was going up. So in total, we were about $4 million in sales. And so the key thing I want you to take away from that is focus on one product till you get to $1 million. And then you just replicate that same process for each new product. And that's what you do. So 2019, oh boy, this is a fun one. 2019 came along. I was in a mastermind starting in 2016, and I'm still in that mastermind today. We actually just met up last week, and I love that mastermind because it just helps keep me centered. It helps keep things simple for me. But in 2019, I wanted something new. So I joined a different mastermind. And this mastermind emphasized Shopify and creating funnels over Amazon. We had been making all our money using Amazon as the shopping cart and not using Shopify. Shopify was there and Shopify was making money for us, but it wasn't making that much. We weren't advertising for it. But since I joined a mastermind that was all about Shopify over Amazon, we started focusing on Shopify. And guess what happened in 2019? We went from $4 million a year to $3.2 million a year. Our profit, $20,000 that year. We pretty much eliminated all our profit. We took our eye off the prize, eye off the cash cow, which was Amazon US, and we dropped in revenue from 4 to 3.2 million, a 20% drop. And then our profit was 20,000. I was so down, I almost sold my company to Thrasio for $700,000. Think about that. A $4 million company selling for $700,000. But I went back to the original mastermind and the guy that runs that. And he's like, what are you doing? I'll buy it for more than that. And that just like instilled belief in me again. And I didn't sell it. So what did I learn from that? Focus on what is working and double down on it. I see it all the time. People get distracted by all the shiny objects, which I'll get into in just a little bit. But focus on doubling down on what is actually working and eliminate everything else. So we eliminated everything except for Amazon US. We fired our Shopify team. We kept our website, but we just fired our Shopify team, which resulted in about $50,000 more in cash flow per month because we were spending it on Facebook ads, paying them. There's just so much we were spending it on, and it hurt. In 2019, it was tough. I mean, going through all that was hard. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to go through this 3-month span of hell that we went through. Is the worst 3 months of my entire life. And I hope I never have to live any worse 3 months than this. November 2nd, 2019, we lost our child, our second son. He had trisomy 18. We lost a grandfather. Jenna lost her first grandfather less than like 2 weeks later. We lost $630,000 less than 2 weeks later to a Ponzi scheme. We moved from Ohio to Austin, Texas, which was a long move. I then got shingles all across my like rib cage right here, which is not fun. And I knew it was shingles. And I went to get Valtrex before it became full-blown shingles, but I forgot to pick it up. And then it was full-blown shingles, and Valtrex doesn't help after that. And then COVID hit. So that was November to like February, and then COVID hit right after that. So that was the worst 3 months of my life, followed by the worst year of my life. And so that was a rough year for us, but we made it. We made it through it. And what we did is we pivoted everything back to Amazon as a result of just everything that was going on. We were just so distracted. And then so much happening in our personal life that we're just like, we just need to focus on one thing to maintain our sanity. And so we, again, went back to Amazon US and really focused on that. And then the second thing we did is we acquired a brand in early 2020 that was in our space that had a lot of products that we didn't have, a couple overlapping products, but we were actually running their ads in our agency, and they were going from $30,000 a month to around $120,000 a month. And they'd fluctuate because they didn't have enough cash to maintain inventory. And so I actually bought them for $0 in exchange for 10% of iLove. And we completed that asset. I'm still friends with the owner of that today. We're partners in a couple businesses together. And we grew that acquired brand to about $200,000 a month. And it just skyrocketed once we were able to stabilize the inventory. So we added that on top of the savings that we were doing, on top of the savings of eliminating everything and just focusing on Amazon US. And so that year, we went back up to $4 million with a $600,000 EBITDA. And then we were named to the fastest growing companies, to the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies. That helped us get offers. People wanted to buy us since we were on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies. And whenever they came at us, I had this cookie cutter email that I sent back to them. I wanted a 10x multiple in EBITDA. I wanted to stay on for 3 years. I wanted an earnout. I wanted to roll over a third of my equity into the deal, or into the parent company that's going to buy us. And everybody laughed at me until 2 people didn't. So we got tons of inquiries and everybody laughed at it or ignored it. And then the 2 that didn't, we had, I wouldn't call it a bidding war, but they were going back and forth a little bit on our valuation. We got a really great multiple. I can't explain or talk about what it is, but I got my initial payout that I wanted. I rolled over a third of it in equity, and then I had an earnout agreement, and I got to stay on. And this allowed me to get multiple payouts for my business as a result. So the first payout was the initial sale. This allowed us to pay off our SBA inventory loan. We paid off our student loans from optometry school. We essentially became debt-free. All our cars were paid off, and it was nice. Second payout came when the parent company sold a couple months later to a private equity firm, and they sold 53%. So we got a second payout right away, which we were not expecting. And our initial stock value had increased by about 40% in that short period of time, which was great. That was the second payout. Third payout was I earned a salary as the president of my company because I stayed on for a while. And then the fourth payout was after I left. We worked out, and then I'll get another payout for the earnout and another payout for when the third that we rolled over, that pays out again when they go to sell. I think it's going to be in 2026. So we're pretty excited about that because We still support the brand because we're still equity owners in it, and we're excited for what they've been doing and everything that they've accomplished. So know that like you can do anything you want with brands. You can do anything you want with what you're trying to build and sell, and the sky's the limit. Your creativity is the limit. You can buy brands creatively. You can sell brands creatively. You can build brands creatively. Just know that nothing is really off limits to do. And I want you to really like realize that. And I think people think that like everything's so structured and it has to be like this, but it doesn't. You can be creative. I want to jump into 7 more lessons. That's pretty much like the life cycle of I Love. And I want to jump into a couple of the lessons I learned. I kind of went through them when I was going through my story, but I want to go into like 7 lessons, and I want to give you actionable takeaways from those lessons. And the first one is focus on the most important thing. If you've never read the book, The One Thing, I highly recommend it. You don't need to read it. Just know that when you find one thing that works, stop going after everything else. Amazon US was working so well for us, and then we started scattering. We went over to Amazon EU, UK, Germany, Italy, France, Spain, Canada, Mexico, Shopify, ClickFunnels. We had all these different platforms when Amazon US was making everything. When we spread ourselves thin, we dropped 20% in revenue and almost went zero profit because we were just spreading ourselves too thin. We needed a bigger team. We needed to work more. So really focus on like the most important thing. And shiny object syndrome is real. Shiny object syndrome happens when you feel like it's not going the way it's supposed to. So Alex Hormozi goes over this great. There's this emotional cycle of change. Number one, whenever you get something new, you have uninformed optimism. And what that means is you're optimistic that that new shiny thing that you just saw on a webinar is going to work for you, but you don't know how it works. And then you get into it. Once you get into it and start trying it, you then move into informed pessimism, which means, oh, this is actually going to be work, because anything in business is going to require work. You just have to, so anyway, uninformed optimism, because you're really excited about it, shiny object. And then once you start doing it, informed pessimism. And then once it's not really working, or it's really hard, or it's just not going the way you wanted it to, you then move into the valley of despair. So you started up here, now you're down in the pits, you're in the valley. Here's where everybody stops. They get to the valley of despair, they get on a webinar, and they go right back up to uninformed optimism because they think the next shiny object is going to help them. But if you just kept working that strategy a little longer, you would then move into, oh, this is starting to work a little bit. You'd move into informed optimism. Wow, this strategy is actually working. I should keep going. I should keep going. I should keep going. And then you move into success. The problem is whenever we get into that valley of despair, happens with every single thing you do. This cycle, uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, valley of despair, informed optimism, and then success. The problem is most of you don't get out of the valley of despair, and you go back to the shiny object syndrome, back to the new thing. And it's just as much work as the thing you were working on. I tell that to my coaching clients all the time because it's so important. My system works for 90% of the people that try it. However, it doesn't work for everyone. I know that. But most people give up way too soon. Way too soon. It's like they try it for, I've had people try it for a month, didn't work, and they left. And it's like, you tried it for a month. Like you can't try anything for a month and expect it to work. This is business. Which brings me into like, you need to have a long-term vision with your business. Stop thinking so short-term. For Freedom Brands, which is my, I don't want to call it an aggregator because that's just got a bad name to it, but it's like our investment fund where Deacon, Justice, and I are buying brands and we're building them. We've bought 1 brand so far, but our goal is 10 brands, 10 years, 10 brands, buying 10 brands in the next 10 years and building them to $10 million in EBITDA and selling them for over $100 million. That's our goal. Long-term vision. 10 to 20 years is our vision for that. And I want to make it so fun that we don't have to ever sell it. That's the goal, is we don't have to sell it. So why don't you try to do that? Build a legacy brand that lasts longer than you. You need to shift your focus from short-term to long-term. Create a business that aligns with your passions, your joys. Think about like what you want to be doing and build the business around that. So I talked to an entrepreneur today and she's onboarding with us in the agency. And I'm so excited to onboard her because I was talking to her in a coaching call and she's like, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing my ads and this and that, and Amazon's causing me problems and blah, blah, blah. I was like, what would you do if like all of this were gone? And she's like, oh, I just create videos and create products. So she's an influencer. She loves to influence. She loves to talk. And then she loves to create products. And I'm just like, great, hire us, take all the advertising off your plate, and let's see what happens. And then maybe we'll end up buying into her brand and bringing in the operations side too. So there's just like so much we can do with her and allows her to do what she loves to do. I love marketing. I like being influenced too. I like being face of a brand as well. However, I love marketing. And when I get to focus on marketing only, and she gets to focus on influence and product development, and then Deacon gets to focus on operations, that is where fire occurs. That's where growth occurs, when everybody's doing what they love. So in your business, what can you do that you love and hire the rest out? You'd be surprised by what you can hire out and what price you can do that if you give them equity and things. Which brings me into lesson number 2, which I just kind of talked about, like build a strong team. I was like the contact point for anything, for everything, I should say. And it was almost like this massive net of micromanaging. And I created that for myself. That was completely my fault. And once I sold I Love and got out of it completely, I realized, wow, I never want to do that again because nobody could make decisions without going through me, and it was awful. So now with like Profitable Pineapple, I've hired a great team. They do things that I'm not even a part of anymore. And it's like, wow, cool. And it helps us. And so I'm still involved with Profitable Pineapple quite a bit. And same thing with Freedom Brands. I'm still involved with that, but I'm doing what I love to do in those brands. And then there's other brands that I'm a part of, that I'm a partner in, that I'm only doing what I love to do. And there's things going on behind the scenes that I don't even know about because I'm this role and not this role. And it's great to have people on my team now that will do stuff without me. And that's huge. And most of you watching this video are entrepreneurs that are probably stuck because you're like, everybody has to come to you to make a decision. And the key thing to get out of that is to hire people that are smarter than you. I know it's scary, but hire people that are smarter than you and that are as driven as you are. And when you do that, it takes a lot off your plate. And then just let the results speak for themselves. I mean, ever since I started doing that, my life has been easier. Everything's been a lot better. And then focus on eliminating tasks that you don't really need to be doing, automating things with software, and then delegating to people that are smarter than you. It's so key. So if you're doing over $1 million a year and you're still running your advertising, why? Hire somebody. Hire us, profitablepineapple.com. Click apply to work with us and hire advertising off your plate. Get it off your plate so you can focus on what you love to do. Another thing that I don't see enough of is staying mission focused. I love my coaching program because a lot of people in there are so mission focused. I love my clients because they're so mission focused. They have a bigger mission than just trying to make a bunch of money. We actually ask that on our application, like, why are you in this business? And if somebody puts money, we usually don't work with them because I don't want to work for somebody that's just driven by money. And when you have a deeper why, our why is to help the 1 billion that are blind due to lack of glasses. And everything goes towards that. How can we help more clients to make more money to go towards the billion people that are blind due to lack of glasses? That's our big why. In I Love, it was how can we help 1 million dry eye sufferers with dry eye? And that's why we sold to the company we sold to. Remember when I talked about when we went to sell, we had 2 bidders? The other one was actually more appealing. It was an interesting brand, but they weren't in eye care. The brand that we sold to was in 6,000 doctors' offices, eye doctors' offices. And so when it came down to it, it was just like, what's the mission? To reach more dry eye sufferers. That's why we're going with them. So make sure you stay mission focused. Something else, another lesson that I learned throughout this whole process that I don't see enough people doing at all is focus relentlessly on leads. You need to prioritize lead generation, building the Facebook group, building the email list. The more people that see you, the more likely they are to buy from you. You've heard the adage that they need 7 touch points. That can be on a Facebook group, an email list, Amazon, your website, on whatever it is. They just need more touch points. It could be an Instagram ad, TikTok ad. And so the more they see you, the more likely they are to buy. And so you need to focus on getting leads no matter what. That's why I love my Perpetual Sales Machine strategy. Again, Google Ads around the problem that your product solves, to a blog post around the problem that your product solves, having your product on there, also having a lead capture on there to capture their email address. And then you're emailing them now. They've seen you on this blog post. They've clicked over to Amazon and seen your product. So you're constantly getting more and more touch points with them, and they're more likely to buy from you. If you double your leads, you're going to double your business. If you're not getting any leads, just start getting leads. And if you need help with that, that's where my coaching comes in. We have a coaching program. It teaches you how to do the Perpetual Sales Machine. It teaches you how to build a Facebook group, and you can apply to work with us at profitablepineapple.com. So check that out, I meant to say. So another lesson, take time for yourself. I can't tell you, like, I used to work right when I got up. I'd come downstairs, make a cup of coffee, and start working. And then I'd work after my kids got home. And then I'd work any downtime. I'd check my emails, do all this. And about a year ago, I was just like, why? Why am I doing all this? Like, am I doing it for my kids, but then I'm ignoring my kids? Am I doing it for my wife, but then I'm ignoring my wife when I work more? And my fitness was okay, but it wasn't great. And I was just like, okay, let's set extreme barriers. When I wake up in the morning, I work out. I get in the Bible. I read the Bible. I listen to the Bible. I walk, and then I lift. And that's usually the first hour of my day. And I usually sauna in there as well. When my sauna's not broke, it's broke right now, which is a sad day. And then I don't start work until my kids are at school. So I take my son to school every day, and I drop my other son off at the school bus. And I don't start working until I get done dropping him off at the school bus. So usually about 8:30 a.m. my day starts. My first son gets home at around 3:30. My second one gets home around 4. At 4 o'clock, I am done. My phone gets plugged in my office, which is not even close to my bedroom. I turn it on airplane mode. You cannot get a hold of me unless you call me and you're on my favorites list. So it's impossible to get a hold of me. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. And then during my day, I block out an hour every day in the middle to have lunch with my wife. So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day together. I have breakfast and dinner with my whole family, and then lunch with my wife. And then on Fridays, I take Fridays off completely. I don't schedule any meetings at all on Friday. And then so I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday completely off. Schedule time for yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you will burn out. You will derail your ability to grow. You have to make self-care a priority to sustain your long-term success. Since I started these extreme barriers, since I started trusting other people that are smarter than me, my income has doubled as a result of that. We are more profitable in all of our businesses, and my income keeps going up because I keep trusting more and more people that are smarter than me. Will bad things happen eventually? Maybe. And that happens. But that doesn't matter because I have a longer term vision. I have a longer term mission. And that's what really matters. And when you do that and you focus on bringing people good on your team, and you focus on partnering up with people that are great, then you will have success in this whole thing. All right. I want to just kind of wrap it up with 5 key takeaways. Define your one thing and focus on the one proven system that works for your business. In mine, it was the Perpetual Sales Machine. So I do that for all my businesses. So define the one thing and focus on that one thing. And that's it. One thing. Second, build a team. Delegate to people that are smarter than you. Stop hiring people because they're cheap. Hire people because they are smarter than you. Number 3, engage your audience. You have to get leads. You have to build your email list. You have to build communities for long-term success. Number 4, take care of yourself. Prioritize self-care to sustain your energy, to always be on and, create that passion for your business. Like, I love working when I work, but I also love resting when I rest. And I usually work from my rest, meaning I get ideas because I'm so disconnected when I am resting. And so you'll actually get more ideas as a result. And think long-term. Build a brand that you never want to sell. Build a brand that's mission-driven. Build a brand that's sustainable and it's fun to run. And then even if you don't want to sell it, like even if you do want to sell it, you can sell it later and you're not going to be burnt out. You're not going to want to get rid of it. So those are kind of the 5 key takeaways from me growing my business from $0 to $500,000 a month on Amazon. And I hope you took a lot away from this. Comment below if you have any questions or if you like this material. This is just me kind of ranting.
Hey, I wanted to thank you for watching this video, and I picked out another video just for you. So make sure you check out that other video. And what do they need to do? Do they need to like and subscribe? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content.